Hey guys, Khadijah Simon here, and welcome to today's video, which is a workshop on shell voicings. So before we get into the actual voicings, what I want to do first is tell you what a shell voicing is. Now, in music, the terms really explain themselves. A lot of the times, the terms explain themselves. So shell voicings give you the shell or the most important notes of a chord in your voicing, which is the root, the third, and the seventh. Without the root, we wouldn't know what type of chord it is. Without the third, we wouldn't know what type of chord it is because the third determines whether a chord is major or minor. And the seventh determines whether a chord is major, minor, or dominant. So these are the three most important notes of a chord, and that is why when we play them by themselves, they're called a shell voicing because there's no fifth to complete it. There's no seventh. Sorry, not seventh, but there's no ninth. There's no 11th, 13th. We just have the basic, most important notes of this chord. So this type of voicing is also referred to as the Bud Powell voicing because he used it very extensively, as well as other musicians in the bebop jazz piano era. They made use of shell voicings a lot, whether they were playing solo or with a bass player, drummer, whatever setting. They made use of these types of shell voicings. Now there are several ways to play them, and I'm going to go through all. The first way is what we call the closed position, where every note, the first, third, and seventh, are within one octave. So if we take a C major 7 chord, root, third, and seventh, all within one octave. This is closed position. And in practicing, you could take this up chromatically, which is probably easiest to do. Take it back down. Or you could practice it in fourths. Until you're back at C. Or you could practice it any way you want. I usually practice things either in fourths or chromatically. And that's how you get a feel of it. You could also do this with any type of chord. So even if you have a 6 chord, let's say major 6, that's how you will play it. First, third, 6. You could also do the minor 7th. And minor major 7th. That may be the weirdest sounding one, but practice all the chord types. Major, minor, dominant. Practice them all. And that's it for the closed position. Now, next up is open position. So instead of having all 3 notes within an octave, we can take this third here and put it an octave higher. And for some people, that may be a bit of a stretch, which I understand. So you could either arpeggiate it or leave it alone and stick to your regular closed position voicings. Practice this in all 12 keys. Practice this through the circle of fourths. Practice, practice, practice. You get the gist of it. Practice with a metronome, without a metronome. Just make sure you get it under your fingers so that you don't have to think about it. All you have to think of is C7, and you know to play it this way or this way immediately. You don't want to think, okay, put this here and then this here. We want to get to a point where it's so much a part of our vocabulary that we just do it. Just like how we can speak. without trying to think of every single word one at a time. Okay? So, after closed position and open position, we have 3/7 voicings. Now, as I say, all these terms explain themselves. So, you have just the third and the seventh with this voicing. Third and the seventh. Practice them in all 12 keys. If it's a 6 chord, you have the third and the sixth. After that is root 7, and this is one of my favorite. You have the root and the 7, that's all it is, and it leaves your right hand free to put the third, the fifth, the ninth, and you have a nice sounding voice in there. If you do a dominant 7th now, you could put, this is the third, the 7th, and the flat 9. But with that kind of airy, open voicing that doesn't even have a third, you can really mess around with all of the options that are here. You know, whatever you want to do. Okay? Practice this. Get used to the different types of grips, how these chords feel. And that is basically it for shell voicings. Practice them in all your keys, all your different chord types, and you're good to go with shell voicings. Practice them also in your standards. If you're playing autumn leaves, practice autumn leaves with just the closed voicings. Practice them with the open voicing. Practice them with just thirds and sevenths. And make sure you use voice leading, which is treating each note in a chord or a voicing as a separate voice and moving from chord to chord using the least amount of intervallic movement. And I demonstrated that just now in the 3/7 voicing version of Autumn Leaves. Realize I didn't do everything moved with the least amount of intervallic movement, and that is the goal. So, I hope you enjoyed this short workshop. I didn't want to keep it too long because shell voicings are really straightforward. Get to practicing, and I hope to hear you playing some lovely sounding shell voicings very soon. Take care, and keep playing.